Long Beach is a city in Los Angeles County in Southern California, on the Pacific coast of the United States. The city is the 36th largest city in the United States and the 7th largest in California. As of 2010, its population was 462,257. In addition, Long Beach is the second largest city in the Greater Los Angeles area and a principal city of the Los Angeles-Long Beach-Anaheim, CA metropolitan statistical area. The Port of Long Beach is the United States' second busiest container port and one of the world's largest shipping ports. The city also maintains a large oil industry with wells located both underground and offshore. Manufacturing sectors include those in aircraft, car parts, electronic and audio-visual equipment, and home furnishings. Downtown Long Beach is located approximately 22 miles south of downtown Los Angeles. Though the two cities border each other for several miles on Long Beach's southwestern portion, Long Beach borders Orange County on its southeast edge. History: indigenous people have lived in coastal Southern California for over 10,000 years, during which several successive cultures inhabited the present-day area of Long Beach. By the time Spanish explorers arrived in the 16th century, the dominant group were the Tongva people. They had at least 3 major settlements within the present-day city boundaries. Tevaracanga was an inland settlement near the Los Angeles River, while Awaranga and Povunga were coastal villages. Along with other Tongva villages, they were forced to relocate in the mid-19th century due to missionization, political change, and a drastic drop in population from exposure to European diseases. In 1784, the Spanish Empire's King Carlos III granted Rancho Los Nietos to Spanish soldier Manuel Nieto. The Rancho Los Cerritos and Rancho Los Alamitos were divided from this territory. The boundary between the two ranchos ran through the center of Signal Hill on a southwest to northeast diagonal. A portion of western Long Beach was originally part of the Rancho San Pedro. Its boundaries were in dispute for years, due to flooding changing the Los Angeles River boundary between the ranchos of Juan José Dominguez and Manuel Nieto. In 1843, Jonathan Temple bought Rancho Los Cerritos, after arriving in California in 1827 from New England. He built what is now known as the Los Cerritos Ranch House, an adobe which still stands and is a National Historic Landmark. Temple created a thriving cattle ranch and prospered, becoming the wealthiest man in Los Angeles County. Both Temple and his ranch house played important local roles in the Mexican-American War. On an island in the San Pedro Bay, Mormon pioneers made an abortive attempt to establish a colony. In 1866, Temple sold Rancho Los Cerritos for $20,000 to the Northern California sheep-raising firm of Flint, Bixby & Co., which consisted of brothers Thomas and Benjamin Flint and their cousin, Llewellyn Bixby. 2 years previous, Flint, Bixby & Co. had also purchased, along with Northern California associate James Irvin, 3 ranchos which would later become the city that bears Irvin's name. To manage Rancho Los Cerritos, the company selected Llewellyn's brother Jotham Bixby, the father of Long Beach. 3 years later, Bixby bought into the property and would later form the Bixby Land Company. In the 1870s, as many as 30,000 sheep were kept at the ranch and sheared twice yearly to provide wool for trade. In 1880, Bixby sold 4,000 acres of the Rancho Los Cerritos to William E. Wilmore, who subdivided it in hopes of creating a farm community, Wilmore City. He failed and was bought out by a Los Angeles syndicate that called itself the Long Beach Land and Water Company. They changed the name of the community to Long Beach. At that time, the city of Long Beach was officially incorporated in 1897. Another Bixby cousin, John W. Bixby, was influential in the city. After first working for his cousins at Los Cerritos, J.W. Bixby leased land at Rancho Los Alamitos. He put together a group banker I.W. Hellman, Llewellyn and Jotham Bixby, and him, to purchase the rancho. In addition to bringing innovative farming methods to the Alamitos, J.W. Bixby began the development of the oceanfront property near the city's picturesque bluffs. Under the name Alamitos Land Company, J.W. Bixby named the streets and laid out the parks of his new city. This area would include Belmont Heights, Belmont Shore and Naples. It soon became a thriving community of its own. J.W. Bixby died in 1888 of apparent appendicitis. The Rancho Los Alamitos property was split up, with Hellman getting the southern third, Jotham and Llewellyn the northern third, and J.W. Bixby's widow and heirs keeping the central third. The Alamitos townsite was kept as a separate entity, but it was basically run by Llewellyn and Jotham's Bixby Land Company. When Jotham Bixby died in 1916, the remaining 3,500 acres of Rancho Los Cerritos was subdivided into the neighborhoods of Bixby Knolls, California Heights, North Long Beach and part of the city of Signal Hill. The town grew as a seaside resort with light agricultural uses. The Pike was the most famous beachside amusement zone on the West Coast from 1902 until 1969. It offered bathers food, games and rides, such as the Sky Wheel dual Ferris wheel and Cyclone Racer roller coaster. Gradually the oil industry, Navy shipyard and facilities and port became the mainstays of the city. In the 1950s it was referred to as Iowa by the Sea, due to a large influx of people from that and other Midwestern states. Huge picnics for migrants from each state were a popular annual event in Long Beach until the 1960s. Oil was discovered in 1921 on Signal Hill, which split off as a separate incorporated city shortly afterward. The discovery of the Long Beach oil field brought in by the gusher at the Alamitos No. 1 well, made Long Beach a major oil producer. In the 1920s the field was the most productive in the world. In 1932, the even larger Wilmington oil field, fourth largest in the United States, and which is mostly in Long Beach, was developed, contributing to the city's fame in the 1930s as an oil town. The M6-4 1933 Long Beach earthquake caused significant damage to the city and surrounding areas, killing a total of 120 people. Most of the damage occurred in unreinforced masonry buildings, especially schools. Pacific Bible Seminary was forced to move classes out of First Christian Church of Long Beach and into a small local home due to damage. The Ford Motor Company built a factory called Long Beach Assembly at the then address in 1929 as 700 Henry Ford Avenue, Long Beach, where the factory began building the Ford Model A. Production of Ford vehicles continued after the war until 1960 when the plant was closed due to a fire, and January 1991 when the factory was demolished partially due to air quality remediation efforts. Ford had earlier opened a factory in Los Angeles at the location of 12th Street and Olive, with a later factory built at East 7th Street and Santa Fe Avenue after 1914. The city was the site of the Los Angeles air raid of 1942, during World War II, when observers for the Army Air Corps reported shells being fired from the sea. Anti-aircraft batteries fired into the night sky, although no planes were ever sighted. Before the war, Long Beach had a sizable Japanese-American population, who worked in the fish canneries on Terminal Island and owned small truck farms in the area. Due to exaggerated fears on the coast and racial prejudice, state officials persuaded the national government to remove Japanese nationals and Japanese Americans for internment in 1942 to inland facilities. Most did not return to the city after their release from the camps. Due to this and other factors, Japanese Americans now make up less than 1% of the population of Long Beach. but the Japanese Community Center and a Japanese Buddhist church survive. The Japanese American Cultural Center is located over the Gerald Desmond Bridge and the Vincent Thomas Bridge in San Pedro. Douglas Aircraft Company's largest facility was its Long Beach plant, totaling 1,422,350 square feet. The first plane rolled out the door on December 23, 1941. The plant produced C-47 Skytrain transports, B-17 Flying Fortress bombers, and A-20 Havoc attack bombers simultaneously. Douglas merged with the McDonnell Aircraft Company in 1967, where the Douglas DC-8 and the McDonnell Douglas DC-9 were built. In 1997, McDonnell Douglas merged with Boeing, which still makes C-17 Globemaster transport planes in Long Beach, although this program is slated to end and the plant may be closed. In 1970, the Census Bureau reported Long Beach's population as 6% Hispanic, 5.4% Black, and 86.2% non-Hispanic white. The non-profit Aquarium of the Pacific, located in downtown Long Beach, opened to the public in 1998. It has become a major attraction visited by more than 13 million people since its opening. Kojima International was the developer of the Aquarium of the Pacific, and architects included the Los Angeles office of Helmuth Obiter and Kassar Baumann Escherich Homsey Dodge in Davis of San Francisco. Geography. Long Beach is located at 33 degrees 47 north, 118 degrees 10 west, about 20 miles south of downtown Los Angeles. According to the United States Census Bureau, the city has a total area of 51.437 square miles, with 50.293 square miles of its area being land and 1.144 square miles of it is water. Long Beach completely surrounds the city of Signal Hill. Neighborhoods. Long Beach is composed of many different neighborhoods. However, the names and boundaries of neighborhoods themselves are not officially recognized by the city, with limited exceptions for statutory purposes. Some neighborhoods are named after thoroughfares, while others are named for nearby parks, schools, or city features. Climate. Long Beach, depending on the reporting location, has a Mediterranean climate, with strong semi-arid climate characteristics. Days in Long Beach are mostly sunny, as in Southern California in general. Temperatures recorded at the weather station at the Long Beach Airport, 4.0 miles inland from the ocean, range more greatly than those along the immediate coast. During the summer months, low clouds and fog occur frequently, developing overnight and blanketing the area on many mornings. This fog usually clears by the afternoon, and a westerly sea breeze often develops, keeping temperatures mild. Heat and humidity rarely coincide, making heat waves more tolerable than they would be otherwise. Long Beach's geographic location directly east of the Palos Verdes Peninsula, paired with its mostly south-facing coastline, results in the city having significantly different weather patterns than coastal communities to the north and south. The 1,200 feet Palos Verdes Hills block west to east airflow and, with it, a significant amount of the coastal moisture that marks other coastal cities, such as Manhattan Beach, Santa Monica, and Newport Beach. As in most locations in Southern California, most rainfall occurs during the winter months. Storms can bring heavy rainfall. Environment. Pollution. Long Beach suffers from some of the worst air pollution in the entire United States. Most of the city is in proximity to the twin ports of Los Angeles and Long Beach, and the prevailing westerly to west-southwesterly winds bring a large portion of the Twin Ports air pollution directly into Long Beach before dispersing it northward then eastward. Heavy pollution sources at the ports include the ships themselves, which burn high-sulfur, high-soot-producing bunker fuel to maintain internal electrical power while docked, as well as heavy diesel pollution from drayage trucks at the ports, and short-haul tractor-trailer trucks ferrying cargo from the ports to inland warehousing, rail yards, and shipping centers. Long-term average levels of toxic air pollutants can be 2 to 3 times higher in and around Long Beach, and in downwind areas to the east, than in other parts of the Los Angeles metropolitan area, such as the West Side, San Fernando Valley, or San Gabriel Valley. While overall regional pollution in the Los Angeles metropolitan area has declined in the last decade, pollution levels remain dangerously high in much of Long Beach due to the port pollution, with diesel exhaust from ships, trains, and trucks as the largest sources. Additionally, the Long Beach area is directly downwind of several of the South Bay oil refineries. Any refinery process or upset that results in the atmospheric release of refinery byproducts will usually impact air in Long Beach due to the west-southwesterly prevailing wind. Air quality events where large portions of the city are affected by strong-smelling refinery gas releases occur several times a year, although they largely go unreported. Similarly, the water quality in the Long Beach portion of San Pedro Bay, which is enclosed by the federal breakwater, commonly ranks among the poorest on the entire West Coast. Many Long Beach beaches average a D or F grade on beach water quality in the beach report card published by Heal the Bay. The Los Angeles River discharges directly into the Long Beach side of San Pedro Bay, and conveys a large portion of all the urban runoff from the entire Los Angeles metropolitan area directly into the harbor water. This runoff contains most of the debris, garbage, chemical pollutants, and biological pathogens that are washed into storm drains in every upstream city each time it rains. Because the breakwater prevents normal, tidal flushing and wave action, these pollutants build up in the harbor. The water enclosed by the breakwater, along most of the city's beaches, can be subject to red tides due to this stagnation as well. Because of these factors, the water in Long Beach is often unsafe for swimming. Ecology: the area that is now Long Beach historically included several ecological communities, with coastal scrub dominating. A handful of the native plants of the region can still be found in the city. These include California buckwheat, California sagebrush, and California poppy. Some stands of coast live oak still remain in the El Dorado Nature Center. California fan palm, a plant that is native further inland, was introduced to the city as a garden ornamental and is now naturalized. Some indigenous species of birds, mammals, and other wildlife have adapted to development. Since the arrival of Europeans, many alien species have become naturalized in the area. Introduced plants include yellow mustard, eucalyptus, wild radish, and tumbleweed. Such plants now far outnumber the indigenous plants and spread rapidly in the city's vacant lots and oil fields. The city and its residents have initiatives underway to preserve and reclaim part of its ecological heritage. The Riverlink project has begun to revegetate the Long Beach stretch of the Los Angeles River with indigenous plants. Part of the remaining Pacific Electric right-of-way was cleared of non-natives, planted with indigenous plants, and made accessible with foot and bike paths. This community open space is now known as the Long Beach Greenbelt and is the focus of continuing efforts in restoration and community education. The El Dorado Nature Center has changed its original, hands-off approach and has begun to actively introduce indigenous species. The Los Cerritos Wetlands Study Group, state government agencies, and grassroots groups are collaborating on a plan to preserve Long Beach's last remaining wetlands. Long Beach is the first city in California to join the EcoZone program, intended to measurably improve environmental conditions through public-private partnerships. Such projects seek to reduce pollution, restore native habitat, and provide green areas for the city's residents to enjoy. Other places in Long Beach to see natural areas include Bluff Park, the Golden Shores Marine Reserve, the Jack Dunster Marine Reserve, Shoreline Park, and DeForest Park. Long Beach led Southern California in parks access, size and spending, ranking 16th among a survey of 75 large U.S. cities, with Los Angeles and Anaheim tied for 51st and Santa Ana 69th, according to a study released by a national conservation group.